This
what I
call is
share
being
with you.
recorded.
I hope what I share with you today will also be special to you as well. So I don't know if you all had a chance to check into um, listen to the call yesterday, Dan's call. Well, you know what? Before I do that, let me get in order and share our mission and our vision. We believe that health, wealth, freedom, and legacy are our birthright. And by offering life changing products and innovative business, we empower people to elevate to their full potential. And Akana means in the hands of God. All right, just had to get that formality out there. And let's jump into Dan's call yesterday. It was absolutely phenomenal. And it had me so excited as he touched on being the necessity of being flexible and fluid, right? Flexible and fluid. And he said the level of flexibility is based on what the business is dictating. And he talked about when you are flexible, there's two things that you have to be flexible with. And one, he said people, and the second, he said your plan, your business plan. And when he talked about people, he gave an example, you all, about which I thought was so funny. I don't know if you were cracking up, but I was cracking up when he talked about the lady that came in for an interview for, I believe it was to be a cook. And he said, she was cursing and she was talking about, the same way I came in, it's the same way I leave out, and they were just kind of shocked. It was him, and I love how he's building that family legacy, and his children are at the table making business decisions at 13, y'all. 13, and I'm not sure how old his daughter is, but the story was phenomenal. But when he said that they had to make a decision whether or not this lady was going to come aboard, he said him and his daughter was like 50-50. Because they was like, I don't know, do we want to deal with this? And then his 13-year-old son, started pointing out where she's passionate, she's experienced, and he started pointing out all the good things about her. And, Dan said Bishop Dan said he walked out and said, hey, it's your decisions. And they came back and said, well, let's bring her in, but on a temporary basis. So they it wasn't the ideal person they had in mind, but they were flexible with the plan because they saw something good in that person, right? And then he gave an example of how the crowd at his bowling alley, began to grow and it began to become something that they had not planned. He said his other son called him and said, hey, Dad, this is not the type of crowd that we wanted to ideally have in mind. And so they had to pivot and make a decision about how they were going to handle that. And it was so important to me when he talked about in the midst of chaos, and I'm going to bring organized chaos to the table, right? He talked about how chaos brings clarity, right? And it brings things into perspective. I'm also going to add that chaos also allows you to grow. It gives you the opportunity to grow, right? And then he talked about the pivot and the adjustments. Y'all hold on with me. I'm going somewhere with this, right? He talked about they had to identify quickly, make a decision. His decision was to shut it down. The place didn't close till 1. He put everybody out at 10:30 so he can regroup and do this thing right and bring the right type of people back in and close that night successfully. And he said after that, they did 3 things. They did 4 things. The first thing he said that they put an age restriction on who they were going to let in. Second thing he said was they doubled the security. The third thing he said was they applied counters at the door. And then the third thing he said was he put signs in the parking lot. So as I began to reflect on the action steps, right? It's one thing to identify something, but it's another to take action, right? Just like in our presentation, we educate people on the first part. We educate them on the importance of knowing your blood type. Then we identify the why, the 5 key reasons why, and then we position the people to make a decision with the solutions, right? And so when I looked at his actions, right, number one, he said we put an age restriction on it. He set a standard. He set a standard. What is it? It wasn't good enough that they communicated it in the crowd. They had to officially set a standard. This is what the standard is. And then he said they doubled security. So what he did is he protected the standard. He protected the standard. The third thing he did was he put counters at the door. Now he's measuring the standard. That's a measure, right? And then he put signs in the parking lot. To me, that means that he gave directive, clarity, and he gave direction and he gave clarity to the standard. So it was interesting to me, and I said, you know what? As it relates to the whatever it is, whether it's family, whether it's a personal goals, business goals, have we set a standard, right? And then have we set something in place to protect the standard? So especially when you work for yourself and you're independent, we have a lot of freedom. But if we truly want to be free, we have to have discipline. So we need to put that protection in place. Have we put that in place? And then he talked about are we measuring our growth? When we put goals in place, what have we put in place to measure it, right? Have we grown customers? How many customers have we grown a month? How many distributors have we grown in a quarter? How much have we grown in revenue, right? How many vending events have we done, right? How are we measuring the things that we put in place? And then as it relates to being a leader, right? What are we communicating to our customers and to our teammates and to our leadership team? Are we just verbalizing that, or are we putting it where they can see it in writing? Is that a text in the morning, right? Is that what is that? So I thought that was powerful. But then he really talked about not throwing people away, and building relationships. So I want to give some quick tips, right? I'm a John Maxwell student, so anytime I have an opportunity to share what he has poured into me, I get excited about that. So John Maxwell, he shared a story. He talked about how he was in the office foyer chatting with some staff on break, and one of the senior leaders of the organization, he passed by him. He didn't say hello to anybody, just passed right by him, and everybody was shocked, right? Everybody did. He passed by us, but dadgummit, he passed by John Maxwell. And so John was shocked. So he followed him in the office and asked why he had just passed everyone without greeting them. And the guy responded, he said, because I was in a hurry to go get my work done. And John looked at him, and he paused for a minute. And he said, "You just passed the work. You just passed the work, right?" Meaning, right, the people is the work, right? And so when I thought about that, right, what he said was, as leaders, people are our main work, not the projects and not the programs. And if I had to add sauce on top of that, see, we develop relationships with people. We manage a system. The system is that we expose them to the information. We invite them on a call to get more information. Then we follow up with them and ask them what's their decision, right? Out of everything that you heard, what was your biggest takeaway, right? And when do you want to get started? That's the system, right? That's the system. And so when we talk about developing relationships, Right. When people feel seen and heard, it leads to greater engagement in the workplace. It creates synergy in your business and in your organization. So when I think about that, my greatest happiness and my most significant hurt has come from relationships. Because, see, everybody lives and everybody in our lives, they live in our lives and they're subtracting, right? They're adding, they're dividing, and they're multiplying value in our lives. So investing in the right way and the right relationship can make or break our lives. Wouldn't you agree? And I think that applies personally and professionally. But as business leaders, this principle about people is even more crucial. See, love is the most powerful force on earth. And when it is channeled properly and positively in our organization, in our business, the results are beyond your imagination. Do you love your upline? Do you love the leader of the company? Do you love your sidelines? Do you love your downlines? Do you love your customers? Right? Do you love your family? Put yourself to the love test. And so that's where he says that's where the love quotient comes in at. See, the love quotient is your ability to nurture healthy relationships for the profit of all. He says your love quotient is your superpower that ensures you win with people regardless of their color, creed, culture, or country. As Dan said, don't just throw people away because they don't fit ideally in your profile. Now, I like to define that a little bit, though. I say some of that is ministry, right? And then some of that, right, is business. And you have to be able to define when you're operating in ministry and when you're operating in business. And believe and understand that people cannot give you what they don't have inside of you. So I'm going to give 5 quick, and I don't have time to go into it, but I'm going to give you 5 ways to empathize with your team members and your clients. First of all, you want to listen. Listening is so important. It's one of the most critical skills that a leader can possess. So before you even start giving what you thought, start talking and throwing up all over them, make sure that you're listening and that you're listening to understand what the actual concern and need is. The second thing is learn their love language, right? Learn their love language. We educate people on blood types, A, B, O, and AB. And we understand that there's certain characteristics that go along with that, right? Learn, what their love language is so that you can, if you're trying to reach them, you got to come where they are and bring them up, right? And then don't be afraid to communicate your love language so you can operate with understanding. The third is look for the good. I always say this. Always assume the positive until the negative appears. And even when the negative appears, it's still positive. Why? Because it's an opportunity to get better. It's an opportunity to get better. Number 4, let go. Sometimes we got to learn to let go. When we wake up in the morning, we're always seeking God's grace and mercy. Surely we receive it. Surely we got to give it, right? So make sure that you have that extra measure of grace and mercy and learn to let things go. And the 5th thing is going to be to lift. Learn to lift yourself up, lift people up, and lift this company up. It's such an honor to be with you today. It's my kind of anniversary, 1 year. I'm so excited about the next. I just want to say the current events that's coming up. Kathy, I love you. I love you. I love you. The events coming up, don't forget the Wellness Lounge today at 1 p.m. That is at headquarters 411 East 35th Street, right? 1 p.m. Bring yourself, bring your people, get bioscan, get blood type tested, expose the information. Also, don't forget, tomorrow, Thursday, we have the corporate overview. That's at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. At 7 p.m. is the doctor's call with the 360 community, right? Don't forget that. Don't forget Saturday at 10 a.m. It's another opportunity to get people in front of the information and change lives. In closing, our 2025 vision is clear. It's health, wealth, freedom, and legacy for every life we touch. Now, we are looking forward, and we are not looking back.
That's right.
We're going to see you at the top, the very top. And I always say this in my closing. I'm going to hand it back over to the amazing Kathy. We're in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. And if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if we want to go far, $1 billion big, let's go together. Thank you all. Back to you, Kathy.
You are so awesome. Thank you. Thank you for those words of wisdom. And everybody, now she said it's her anniversary, her Akana anniversary, and her birthday. So I'm going to get y'all off mute. And I want y'all to give her anniversary birthday wishes. So
happy anniversary, happy birthday.
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Happy birthday.
You are amazing.
Congratulations, sister.
Great job. Thank you. I love y'all. Thank you.
Happy birthday. You're
Love
making
you more.
a difference, Kayaetta. And happy anniversary.
Thank you so very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Akana family, for doing that. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.